Hey you guys, this is your coach Andrea Dickerson here with EyeOnTheDaycare.com, where we connect childcare business owners with proven management solutions. For today's proven management solution, I got a question for you. How do you know when your touring process is excellent, that it meets a 10? How do you know that? Well, several of you may say, well, I think my score in my childcare business would be a 10 because I enroll clients with me. Well, if you have to ask yourself that question, and if you have to respond with the words think and not the words system, then today's video is going to truly help you. So I know I had to get a little dramatic with think and systems, but I did that because I want you to feel me in this video today. I want you to really take into consideration how well you know your audience and how well does your audience respond to your touring process. Do you know it's just one little thing that can keep your company from growing to the next level? Let me give you a story. Years ago, I moved myself from my day-to-day operations, and my directors were conducting my tours. However, I included myself in the follow-up system. For those of you that have multiple locations, you might want to tune in. So instead of me just walking completely away from the management portion of my company, I made sure that every new student that enrolled, that I had a phone call with the parent, or I made sure that every person that took a tour, that I had a tool in the system to know who they were and a follow-up with them. I'm going to tell you more about my tools, so just stay tuned. So once I got my end of the night report and I found out that there were people that took a tour with us, my job then was to follow up and find out how was the tour, did they enroll, or what was the reason for them not enrolling that day. Well, lo and behold, I got in contact with one of my clients. They were a real estate salesperson. They sold real estate, and they took a tour but told me why they didn't choose us. And I was like, well, why didn't you choose our program? You know, it sounds as if we were a perfect match for you and your childcare needs. And they said, well, it was during the tour, I walked in and, you know, one of the kids had a snotty nose and the teacher was just standing around like it was okay. And she said, and I began to think about, do I want my child, you know, to be in an environment? She said, of course I know kids, you know, they're gonna have snotty noses, but it was just the teacher wasn't treating it as if it should have been cleaned up. And of course, you know, I was like, dog it, man. I was so upset because that's really not my brand. You know, my brand is excellence, and I train my teachers on cleaning, keeping hands washed, keeping noses clean, and also helping the children become independent by encouraging them to, you know, with their own self-care. Well, this particular day, I was like, well, you know, did you see the same activity in the other classrooms? And, you know, she was like, well, I just noticed that the kids weren't as clean as I like. And, you know, so I was like, man, that's definitely an aha moment for me, right? There wasn't a time for me to get like mad with the staff. There wasn't a time for me to, you know, just go off, or there wasn't a time for me to be like, oh, she just don't want to use my services. I just could not think like that. I literally had to figure out why this was happening in my company and what could I do about it. You know, sometimes if you don't ask yourself what you can do about things, then it will allow you to have less than a 10 in your company while you're thinking you're doing well. So now, here's the secret part, right? So because I keep myself engaged in the touring process, I utilize my tool, and my tool is called the Parent Review Guide process. So my tool that I use is what my staff are trained to give over to parents before they walk to the back of our school. We utilize this tool as a security measurement and as a tour score process. So on my review guide, I ask the right questions so that I can get the right answers in reference to my tour. Not only that, but if parents are truly interested in my service, they're going to fill out pertinent information. And then at the end of the night, my directors at all locations, they forward me over this report. Well, What does this report do for me? It gives me information that I need as a CEO to follow up with my client. Well, because I was able to go through the follow-up process, I found out that these press-scheme clients that I wanted to attract in my company did not choose me because of an image that they saw. And of course, I could have went back to my staff and said, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Who has time for that? Not me. When you are a boss and a CEO, you get right to how to shift, how to change, and how to become a 10. So then I said, okay, let me come up with a system for what staff are to do during the tour process. And let me give myself the right hours for when parents are allowed to take a tour of my facility. Now, why did I go that route? I went that route because I want to know from my review guides how to become a 10. And the only way I'll know how to become a 10 is if they answer these questions for me. And by her answering the questions for me, I was able to see that she wasn't quite sure about utilizing our services because she worried about cleanliness and hygiene. So then I knew right away that I needed to focus in on cleanliness and hygiene, and also offer my parents a time where they see intentional cleanliness and hygiene going on in my childcare business. Why did I do that? Because I understand that during hand washing time, I understand that during bathroom break time, that this is a time where we intentionally teach children to go to the restroom, wash their hands, and go back into the activity. Now, during that time of the day, it was right after lunch. Things are kind of messy. Kids are getting up. Their shirts are kind of messy. So I realized, like, hey, this isn't the right time for parents to take a tour. And then once a parent becomes a part of my organization, during my parent orientation is when I could speak to them about moments when things are a little chaotic, moments when things are what we call controlled chaos. And then once a parent is a part of your organization, you get a chance to speak with them and teach them why these things happen in childcare. Because if I don't teach that lesson, then I'm gonna be like a mad woman running around, clean that nose, clean that nose, clean that nose, clean that nose, when literally, as long as a child is growing and they're learning, their bodies are learning how to fight off bacteria and infections, that nose is going to run. And so then I realized, like, okay, once I train my parents on how this process works, then I can then make sure that my staff are trained, make sure that my parents know why, and it makes a better company community. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to www.childcaremadeeasy.com and pick you up a stack of the jumbo parent review guides. You get all of these guides that you get a chance to hand over to parents, and it's going to give you loads of content and information to ask so that you can have the right information coming to you during your follow-up process. Now, this will work if you are a CEO like me and you follow up with your clients to make sure that you've done everything possible within your brand to make them a part of your family. Well, all right, this is your coach, Andrea Dickerson, here with IOnADaycare.com. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If so, leave a comment below. Head over to ChildcareMadeEasy.com, pick you up a jumbo set. You'll be so glad that you did. All right, until next time, if you manage the childcare business that you love, you will love the childcare business that you manage. Bye, you guys.